you want, what you want. Come on. What you want. Come on. What you want.
Hello everyone, welcome to another episode of the Online Motivation Channel with me, Hilman Basri. Today we're going to talk about some tips of how to lose weight. Alright, okay, and today one of the tips to lose weight, we're going to talk about intermittent fasting. Alright, so what is intermittent fasting? Okay, what is fasting to begin with? Fasting is when you set a serious period of time, like a few hours of not eating at all. Okay, this is a pretty controversial topic because there are people, and when I say people, there are professional doctors out there who says, or dietitian who says not to fast at all, whereas there are people who say fasting is alright as long as you can actually supplement that energy while you are fasting. Okay, as all of you know that I'm a Muslim, and part of my religion requires me to fast in the month of Ramadan, which is that 1 month of fasting. Okay, so that could be considered as an intermittent fasting. In fact, I consider that as an intermittent fasting for the whole 1 year, you know, because I spend 30 days or sometimes 29 days of the Ramadan to actually fast, and it's actually is beneficiary in some ways because it really allows you to lose weight, and then of course focusing on the things. However, a lot of people say that fasting lose weight instantly. This is untrue. Okay, yes, fasting lose weight while you are actually in that period of fasting, because okay, imagine you wake up in the morning and then you don't eat, and then you only eat maybe, let's say, 4 o'clock in the afternoon or stuff like that, then you start eating. Okay, the whole time from that morning, maybe 6 o'clock, that you actually, you know, woke up and then not eating at all until 4 p.m. Yes, your body is burning the fuel, right, burning that fats. However, you have to be okay, when it comes to fasting, there's a lot of things that we have to understand. Okay, we have to understand that it also requires a lot of discipline as well. You can't expect to fast for maybe 12 hours and then after that, once your 12 hours fasting is gone, you start eating the whole bunch of meals, you know, like the whole breakfast, lunch and dinner after that 12 hours just to justify and to satisfy your hunger that you had actually kept for the past 12 hours that you were fasting before. Okay, this is a biggest sin when it comes to fasting. Alright, when I say about sin, I meant it in a joking way, because a lot of times we've seen a lot of people, I mean I've seen a lot of people as well who do fasting, intermittent fasting, but then they don't really lose weight. Maybe they lose 1 or 2 kgs while they are fasting, and then they said, I don't see much results. Okay, at the end of the day, when it comes to, I mentioned this before in my previous topics or my previous videos about losing weight, about being healthy, I said that, you know, at the end of the day, it's about discipline. Okay, discipline in the sense that yes, as much as you are fasting, as much as you are working out, all right, doing the right type of regime that you are sticking to, all right, you actually have to understand that, you know, you also have to stay a balanced diet, and that is one of the discipline that a lot of people fall. What they often think is the moment they fast or the moment they don't eat for that period of time, and then when it's time for them to eat, they will just whack everything out, and then just to justify that I was fasting just now for 12 hours and now I want to eat because this is my time to eat. without even realizing that, you know, when you actually lost all that fats while you're doing that fasting, you know, you can actually get back all that fat just by that one meal that you actually put a 3-in-1 meal, and then that's how you get back all the fats. Okay, I mean, it makes complete sense, and it makes a very simple sense that, you know, you lost it before and then you gain it in an instant. Just like how I used to complain saying that, you know, okay, I lost maybe 5 kgs while I was fasting during the month of Ramadan, and then during the festive of Eid festival itself, which comes right after, immediately after Ramadan, we actually had a lot of feasts. You know, we go for housewarming, open house, and then we eat a lot of stuff, a lot of spicy stuff. And then you know how Asian cuisines are, they are always spicy, they are always quite oily and stuff like that. You actually gain back all the entire 5 kg within a day. That's not impossible, it's totally possible. So when it comes to intermittent fasting, okay, I'm not asking you to fast just like how, you know, the Muslim fast in Ramadan, but I'm asking you to fast in a way that, you know, it satisfies you and it doesn't, you know, put a certain restriction and burden towards you. Okay, you can fast in a way that instead of 12 hours, you can just fast for 4 hours. However, you can take a break from that fasting and just eat something which is just there to kind of like fill up your tummy, but not to make your tummy bloated. When I said fill up your tummy, people misconstrued me by saying, oh, it means I can eat anything I want after that, and then they get bloated. And once you get, okay, the thing about eating too much is the likelihood of you being lazy after that, like you just wanting to, you know, sit back on a couch or on a bed and then fall asleep is very high. That's why when they say after you eat and then you sleep, all right, yes, while you're sleeping you burn some kilojoules. However, that's not really a good way to, you know, reduce fat. And a lot of people misconstrued this, saying that, oh, I fast, so now it's time for me to eat. So yeah, we got to eat. Yes, you have to eat, but you have to also watch what you eat. Okay. At the same time, when I say watch what you eat, I'm not just saying that eat salad. I'm not saying to eat celery, cabbage, broccoli, not the boring stuff. I'm saying that, you know, have a balanced diet. You can take some carbo, which consists of maybe rice for most of us, or maybe noodles for some, right? And then you can have a balance where you don't really put so much. If you are not intending to do any vigorous workout, all right, maybe you might want to not take too much protein, right? Maybe just 2 eggs is good enough. If you are actually doing intermittent fasting at the same time doing workout, then you might want to, you know, when you actually break your fast, you can, you know, we might want to do something like, you know, have chicken or have some sort of supplement of protein just to counter that. However, don't overdo it. A lot of times people overdo it and then they say that it doesn't work, you know, because I did have chicken. Then when I counter and I ask them the question, they say, oh, I have 1 whole chicken. Of course that's not going to work. Okay, when it comes to losing weight, it all boils down to discipline. It all boils down to a lot of regime, a lot of you know, rescheduling, rearrangement of your normal habits of you like to binge eat. A lot of people like to binge eat, and when I say a lot, means there's a lot of people who like to binge eat. I work in an office environment, and you know, some of my colleagues have their entire wardrobe full of tidbits, and then they say, oh, what do you want today? Yeah, you want twisties, you want this, you want that, and that's just too unhealthy. Because remember, you are only sitting down doing your work all the time, and you keep on munching, you keep on eating. That's not gonna help your, you know, your to have that slim figure that you always want. Okay. On top note, I am not also implementing or encouraging people to be slim all the way, because sometimes we do need a certain type of energy within ourselves. Okay, if you intend to do some intermittent fasting at the same time do a workout while you are doing your fasting, I'm not saying that it's not a good thing, but I'm saying that you have to be careful, and you have to understand that it's good to take an early breakfast, like 6 a.m. in the morning, maybe until 6:30 or 6:30, and then you start your regime maybe at 8 o'clock while the food is already digest. So at least you have certain type of energy stored before that for you to continue doing the regime. Okay, what I did, okay, this works for me, but you might want to change it in your own regime based on your capabilities and based on what you think is achievable for you. All right. When I'm doing my intermittent fasting, all right, I make sure that in the morning at 5 plus I do eat some food which is considerably sufficient for me to actually withstand for the entire duration that I'm doing my intermittent fasting. And then what I'm going to do is if I am going to do some type of exercise in the daytime, okay, I'll make sure that the most that I run is just 3 clicks, and most of the time I run on the treadmill. Okay, most of the time I'm not going to lie to you, I hardly go out in the hot sun when I'm doing my intermittent fasting. While I'm doing my workout, I hardly go out to the hot sun. I usually just stay in the gym, and then I do a 3-click kind of run on the treadmill, followed by a couple of reps compound training with weights and dumbbells, and that's it. I don't overdo it. I don't push myself to the lengths, because I know that sometimes for me, when I do my intermittent fasting, I don't even consume water. Okay, so I have to bear in mind that my body is able to contain that, because right now I don't have water. However, for most of you, I will encourage you to you can fast, but at the same time you consume a lot of water. You see, a lot of water just helps you to hydrate yourself. Okay, we need water more than we need food, right? That's why they said a man could withstand without food for maybe 10 days, but without water, very maximum you can only last for 5-6 days. All right, 7 for a week if you are lucky. The thing is, water is essential to your diet. So sometimes when I'm doing my intermittent fasting, because I know that I'm not going to drink in the morning, I consume so much water in the morning that I'm bloated. And I mentioned to you, I'm bloated with just water in my tummy. Okay, and I go to the toilet very frequently. Okay, that's common, go to the toilet very frequently, and then you see that it's a clear urine that you have. That means that your body has a lot of water, which is a good thing. Okay, and just bear in mind, when I said consume water, don't consume too much water and then immediately go for a run. You will develop stitch, and stitch is a very uncomfortable feeling that is in your tummy, because there's a lot of water and then you are doing exercise. A lot of times stitch will prevent you from continuing your normal regime, your runs or your whatever training that you intend to do while you are doing your intermittent fasting. So it has to coordinate with every element of your schedule, of your regime. Okay, if you want to do intermittent fasting, I encourage you to have an early meal, and I said early, something really early, like maybe 5 in the morning, 5:30 in the morning. All right, have a very balanced diet. Okay, full of protein. If you know that you are going to do a workout in the morning, all right, have a lot of protein, have plenty of water. It's okay to be bloated, and then you'll go to toilet very frequently, which is all right. But you know that your body has a lot of energy to store, and you have a lot of things to actually put upon. So it's not really so much of you just trying to fast and then straight away do your normal exercise, because it's not going to work. When you have lack of energy, chances you will have lack of resources and we don't want you to faint in the gym, or worst of all, faint out there while doing your intermittent fasting. Intermittent fasting should not be a burden or a hindrance towards you, right? It should be something that you enjoy doing, because I believe, for me, I work better in an empty tummy, in an empty stomach. I feel more, I just don't know, maybe my psychologically I feel more happening when it comes to when I have a empty stomach, to do more things. the moment my stomach is full, I just get, so lazy and so relaxed that I just keep on. I just feel like sleeping. Especially that's a very bad thing especially when you are working in an office environment. That's not so good. That's why I always try to kind of like walk around in the office, or go downstairs just to take some breather while letting the food to digest by itself. So back to intermittent fasting. Don't get me wrong, alright? I'm not saying that you should do intermittent fasting every single day for the whole year or for the whole month, alright? But I'm saying that if you intend to do intermittent fasting, you can do maybe 3 days in a row, or you might want to do today, tomorrow you're not doing it, and then the day after tomorrow you do it. Those type of things. But it has to be within your means, within your limits. Okay, if you intend to do vigorous training while you're doing that intermittent fasting, all right, I encourage you to take a very solid meal early in the morning, full of lots and lots of water. But if you are intending to have an intermittent fasting where you can still consume water, then maybe you might not want to take so much water in the morning, but you can consistently take a lot of water while you are doing your training, because when you perspire, you lost a lot of water. So basically those water can be supplemented back while you are still doing your intermittent fasting. But yes, you start from food, you start from all that. And another thing to consider, not to consider, another thing to follow is, once you finish your intermittent fasting, never a million times fool yourself with a lot of food, because you see, you can lose so much calories while you're doing your training at the same time doing your intermittent fasting, but you can get everything back in a split second. They say that you can run 3 clicks, okay, and then after, because they always have this saying that it's good to eat right after your training. However, what they don't say to you, or what they actually miss saying to you, is it's good to eat wisely, right? A lot of people again misunderstood and misconstrued that, when they said, okay, I've just run a couple of miles and I've just did a lot of training, now it's time for me to eat. And when they eat, they really eat like they really mean business. Okay, so you are going to pound back on that calories. There's no way of you trying to go back. Okay, there are other people who wrote to me on the onlinemotivation.com saying that should I result in a no carb diet? You see, this is again another thing that fits the individual. If you can live without carbs, right, then by all means. But for me, carbs is the one source of food like that makes me feel that I'm full, or that I feel that I have enough energy to burn later on. Yes, they said too much carbs will just make you white, and you don't want that to happen, and it will jeopardize your decision or maybe your plans to lose weight. Yeah, I'm true with that. But to actually have a no carb diet, if you really know what other platforms to get, maybe you want to get more protein, but no, too much protein also leads to a lot of fats and stuff like that. You have to understand from a lot of various issues. So when it comes to losing weight, there is no shortcuts. There is no one type of method fits all. It all boils down to the individual. Okay, if they are a person, and then it all boils down to how much, because some people have gastrics, so they have to constantly eat. When the time comes, they have to really just eat. They cannot prolong their meals and stuff like that. So we have to take that into consideration as well. And of course, dietitians will tell you to eat in moderation. I believe that totally, right? Eat in moderation. Of course, for me, I don't consume fast food. I don't consume fried food. But once in a while, I do, consume fried food like when there's a buffet, and you are expected to eat. So if you don't eat, you're going to, disappoint the person who brought the buffet. So you eat, and you eat wisely, but you still consume those fried food, but you eat wisely. Right? Your body still needs some fats. Your body still needs some, oil and stuff like that. So don't worry about whether the food is too oily, as long as you're eating it in moderation. And I believe in every single thing that dietitian tells you, eat in moderation. Of course, some strict one will say, don't eat this, don't eat chicken, don't eat this, don't eat that. And then at the end of the day, you'll be asking yourself, then what to eat? Then they will say, oh, eat broccolis, eat, then you said, all right, vegetables are good. However, you eat nothing else other than vegetables, that's not good. Right? You still need protein, especially if you are more of an active person like myself. You need protein. You cannot be out there doing vigorous compound training or Ironman training, or if you are into that kind of training, with just vegetables in your body. That's not going to work. Okay, you need a bit of sugar, and if you are taking a lot of sugar stuff, you might want to count how much calories of sugar that you actually, because sugar transmit nothing else other than fat. That's why we always try to avoid sugary stuff. We can treat ourselves to some sugary stuff maybe at the end of the week, but during the course of our entire week, our working days, the weekdays, we try to avoid sugar as far as possible. That's why I don't consume so much of cakes or cupcakes. It's a good thing that I don't really have a sweet tooth, so it works for me in some ways. However, I do like to chew on chewing gums or stuff like that, just so that I get my sugar fix, because lack of sugar also result to a certain type of deficiency that you don't want to result yourself in that predicament. So intermittent fasting works alongside with you being disciplined with your diet. There's no point in doing intermittent fasting at the same time you are just eating it out like you never eaten before after your period of fasting is over. Okay, at the same time, when it comes to eating, you have to get a mixed blend. Okay, if you're taking, like for me, if I take rice, I must make sure that I have vegetables behind my side. I must make sure that I have some protein, so you have a balanced diet. Okay, and when you have a balanced diet, I usually I usually have a big serving, because on most of the time, on a normal day where I'm not doing my intermittent fasting, I would normally just I would either skip breakfast or lunch, alright, and of course dinner, I will eat dinner with my family. So a lot of times people said, oh, you should reduce dinner, but you should eat more on lunch, or you should have a heavy breakfast and you skip lunch. It all depends on the individual perspective or individual's requirement. I wouldn't say, like I said, it's not a one thing fits all. But one thing for sure that I say about intermittent fasting is, as much as you can either fast for 12 hours straight, Jack, and then after that you eat a considerable balanced diet after that 12 hours of fasting, which when you fast from food and water, alright, you can do intermittent fasting, but you can still consume water. You can do intermittent fasting, and then you also wish to actually do some regime, some exercise regime while you're doing intermittent fasting. But bear in mind, I encourage you to eat early in the morning so that you have enough energy for you to continue with your training regime. So these are the types of intermittent fasting that I would consider to be acceptable. Alright, and then in terms of the pace, maybe you want to do one whole week of intermittent fasting, or you want to do today and then tomorrow you take it off, and then the day after tomorrow you want to do it again. It's all up to you, as long as you're following that regime that I mentioned. Okay, if you intend to do exercise, just have a meal before that. Okay, in terms of skipping meals, if possible, don't skip meals. Alright, it's okay to eat, but just remember to eat wisely. Right? A lot of them eat a heavy breakfast, heavy lunch, heavy dinner. That's not going to work. That's not going to happen. All right, you want to lose that pounds. And a lot of them ask me, about having abs. Is there any shortcuts? Well, there are a lot of exercise to help you build those abs. But there's a lot of sacrifice that you require in order to build a head. I would say that to get abs, you have to actually, first of all, lose the fats first. And to lose the fats, these are some type of things that you have to do. Eat wisely, and do considerably a lot of exercises that works on a lot your bicep. If you want to have a good bicep, it works a lot on bicep. You want to have abs, there's a certain type of regime for you to have abs. You want to work on your weight. I will always consider compound training to be one good way, because it actually helps you to lose weight in every part of your body. Okay, but I'm a more of a bicep person, so I like to train my arms more wisely. And in terms of cardio, I just like to jog for long distance before I do my normal routine of the compound training, stuff like that. But that works for me. Well, if it works for you, all right, you just need to find that particular regime that you are comfortable with. Remain consistent with that regime, and if you are going into intermittent fasting like what we are talking today, all right, make sure, think wisely what kind of intermittent fasting that doesn't tire you or doesn't really deplete you and restrict you from doing your normal everyday stuff. There's no point doing intermittent fasting at the end of the day. You start eating a whole bunch of food just because you want to justify the number of hours that you were fasting before. There's no point doing intermittent fasting if you cannot continue with your normal everyday routines. Okay, so eat wisely, and I'll be back with more health tips regarding how to lose weight, regarding how to have a healthy diet, or maybe we could talk about a lot more about intermittent fasting. This is the first time I attempted to do a video on this, because some people would say that they don't believe in fasting at all. So as I said, it all depends on the individual. What is it that you want to achieve, and what's your perspective, and what's your goal in trying to achieve? Is it to lose weight, or is it to be more muscular, to be more lean? It's up to you, fellas. So it's me, Hilman Basri, signing out. I'll see you again in all my other videos, and goodbye.